Abby from Propagates with another instalment of Gardening Lockdown TV. So this session is going to focus on soil and understanding your growing space. So what is soil? Soil is probably the most important part of the garden. Without soil, without good quality, nutrient-rich soil, we wouldn't be able to grow all the amazing things that you want to grow. So we're in my back garden. I live in a tenement and I have a shared back court along with the other 7 flats in my close. So we have a typical back garden. I don't know if you can see behind me. I've planted it up over the years with blackcurrant, red currants, gooseberries, and we've got a nice carpet of wild garlic underneath it. We get a moderate amount of light in this back court. I'll come on to light in a wee bit. Over the years I've been looking after this border and have improved the soil over time. So first of all we're going to do a little bit of a dig and we'll play with the soil a little bit and I'll talk about it as I play with it because it's quite tactile like that. Okay, here we go. So what you want to do is dig a small hole in your garden, about so deep. Just want to try and find out what kind of soil you've got in your garden. Take a small amount of soil in your hand, like this. Play with it a little bit, give it a squish. Very nice. Make sure you've taken the stones out because they'll just get in your way. So, good soil should have plenty of organic matter in it. Organic matter provides nutrients for the plants and helps them to grow. The nutrients that we're looking for in the soil are nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. Soil will be different. You get 3 different main types of soil. So you get a clayey soil, you get a sandy soil and you get a silty soil. So I have squished my soil sample from my garden. Squish it a bit in your hands and see if you can roll it into a ball, which mine has managed to do. It's holding together in a ball quite nicely. That means it's got a reasonable amount of clay in the soil. And this is good because clay is good for holding nutrients and it's good for water retention. That means it doesn't dry out too quickly and it means the plants have got plenty of nutrients to uptake. So, can I roll it into a sausage? Oh. And the answer to that is quite clearly no. I cannot roll it into a sausage. If I could, then I would know it had quite a bit of clay in it. Probably up to about 50% clay. If you can roll it into a sausage, that is up to about 10 centimetres long. You can pretty much guarantee you've got clay in the soil, but this hasn't. Yeah, so you can see that there's not much clay in this soil. That means it's probably got a reasonable amount of sand in it as well. Now, sand is also good in a soil. You want to have a decent amount of sand so that there's not too much water retained. Otherwise, it'll become quite waterlogged. Oh, look, I can make it into a sausage by squishing it very hard. So, I'm a bit of a winner with this, I think. The other thing I'm looking for is organic matter. Organic matter is everything from compost to leaf mulch to manures, and that helps to enrich the soil, but it also helps to break it up. If the soil is too clayey, too waterlogged, then you add organic matter to break it up. And if the soil is too sandy, then you would add organic matter to give it more structure. So how else can I detect what kind of soil I've got? So I can take a little bit like this and rub it between my fingertips. Doesn't feel too gritty. Doesn't feel too gritty at all. It's quite smooth. Not too many lumps and bumps. So clay will feel smooth between your fingers. Sand has quite large particles and will feel rough and gritty between your fingers. The other main soil type to look out for is silt. So silty soil has got quite a lot of grit in it, and you'd find the particles were quite large. So all in all, I would say that this soil type is got a reasonable amount of clay. You can see it's also staining my fingers. Thank you. It's got a reasonable amount of clay, but not too much, which means it's reasonably free draining, but it's also got enough structure to hold the nutrients for the plants to take up. So what I suggest that you do is go out into your growing space and think about where you want to grow, and dig a little hole, dig a few holes around the garden and see what kind of soil you've got. And then you can have a chat about it with us. To finish the soil section, I'm just going to fill the hole back in again. Oh, the other thing I should be looking for in my hole is worms. If you've got a good earthworm count, then you can guarantee you've got a decent amount of organic matter in the soil. I've only seen one so far. I hope there's more, but they're just hiding further down because I'm quite dry lately. So, what else do we need to know about understanding our growing space? We've looked at the soil. What else is important? Well, we know that plants need light and water to grow. Now, it's just started raining a little tiny bit, so we know we've got enough water. This is, after all, Scotland. But light sometimes evades us, especially in a back court, in a tenement garden. So I'm in Battlefield. I'm on the south side. I've got what you could call a fairly typical back court, which I share with my 7 neighbours. In our back court here, we get roughly 5 to 6 hours sunlight, but that comes with some shade. So there's some big trees along the lane in other people's gardens, and that shades out certain sections of the garden at different times. So it's not exclusively 6 hours of direct sunlight on one particular part of the garden. It's good to know which way is north and south. So in this garden, we know that north is that way, pretty much. East is over here, south is that way, and west is there. So the sun comes up at the front of my house and it sets towards the back. So our garden is northwest facing. No, southwest. Our garden, but no, it's northwest.
Northwest.
It's northwest. Our garden is has a northwest facing aspect. Bearing in mind it's also shaded out by trees and other tenement buildings. So as I said, we get roughly 6 hours light in the garden, but none of that 6 hours falls exclusively in one place. Now, it's really good when you're understanding your growing space to find the areas of the garden that get the most light for the most amount of time. The only way you can really do this is by watching it and observing. So if you have the time, and I recommend that you do take the time, it's good to go outside, take a day, preferably a sunny day, when you can go outside at regular intervals and map where the sun falls at different parts of the garden at different times of the day. This will have a big impact on where you grow, but also what you can grow. Now, what you can grow is covered in a later session, talking about vegetable families, planting plans and crop rotations. But in a nutshell, in case you missed that video, if you have 3 to 4 hours light, you should be able to grow a reasonable range of leafy greens, such as salad leaves, chard, spinach, and pretty much anything in the brassica family. That's kale and broccoli, that kind of thing. If you have 4 to 6 hours light, you can add in root vegetables to that mix. So you can grow all the leafy greens, and then you can also grow carrots, parsnips, beetroots, that kind of stuff. Now, if you're one of the lucky ones and you get up to 6 to 8 hours sunlight in one part of the garden, then you can add in all the fruiting bodies. So that's all the green leafy stuff, it's all the roots, but also peas and beans, courgettes, tomatoes, peppers, that kind of stuff. I don't have that in this garden, which is why I focus my efforts on herbs, chard, and my lovely array of soft fruits, gooseberries, red currants and black currants. Oh, and the wild garlic, which is very shade tolerant. So, in a nutshell, to summarise, the important things to look for when you're understanding your growing space are soil and light. Those are the most important aspects. Other aspects are important as well, such as water, here's the rain, and also where you might have frost pockets and microclimates. But if you can at least get the soil right and you can get your light right, then you're onto a good growing season and a good start. Future sessions are with Jenny and myself are going to cover how to sow seeds, crop families and crop rotations. We'll look at compost, we'll look at planting plans, we'll try and cover all aspects of practical gardening. Stay tuned to Propagate Lockdown TV.